Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and today we're going to go over the results of the Michigan-New Mexico game that Michigan thankfully was able to win 34-17. Obviously, Bryce Underwood was the star of the show. This was his first start as a freshman, and for him to go out and did what he did, he played pretty well overall. So obviously, you can see on screen the stats here. He was 21 of 31 for 251 yards and a touchdown, and I feel like that is really good for him as a freshman. What is really understated is the fact that he had no interceptions and he only took 2 sacks, which really is not bad for a freshman starter. Yes, he was hyped up. They say he's a generational talent, all that, but he went out there and he didn't fall apart, which is super important for a guy with that kind of pressure on his shoulders because the pressure to perform at that level is really high. So he did really good. Obviously, honestly, in some ways, the bigger star of the show was Justice Haynes. 16 for 159 and 3 touchdowns is incredible. That's a really good game for a guy who just transferred into the program. He was obviously hyped up. He played at Alabama, so he was already highly recruited, obviously. So we all knew what he could do, but he really lived up to the hype and did an amazing job. So I would say that of all the players I debuted on Saturday, he was the one who stood out, and hopefully he can continue that. And you never know where that could bring Michigan. They're going to need a lot of those, more of those performances going forward. But in my previous video, the roster breakdown, I had said I thought the final score would be 31-10, so I wasn't off by terrible. So but Michigan played well enough. Receiving wise, you see here, the tight end, Marlon Klein, did an amazing job. 6 for 93 for a touchdown. That's all you can ask for from a tight end. Did a really good job. A lot of other guys stepped up. Goodwin Channing, Channing Goodwin, 2 for 49. He had 2 really big catches, and he got open, so that was really nice to see. Smash Morgan, he's a senior. He's been a while, so you kinda expect him to be in the rotation. He only had 33 yards, but there were some, I believe a couple of those are third down conversions, which obviously keep drives alive, keep the defense on the field, wearing them down. So that was really good. Some of the other guys, Don McCauley, the graduate transfer, 4 for 31, really, really steady. You got production. That's what you want from a guy. He's a big dude, so he's not necessarily a field stretcher, but he's going to get you those possessions. A lot of people contributed. Marsh, he had the return, I believe. He had a couple returns. So let's see here. Marsh had a couple returns. He did have the fumble on one of the returns, so that kind of it's a bad look, but I think he'll be okay going forward. Um, Defensively wise, those 3 picks you had from Hillman, Sullivan, and I believe TJ. Yeah, TJ Guy had that other pick. That was actually for a lineman. That was pretty good. Off edge lineman. That was pretty athletic of him. Obviously, the sack by Barnum that got him for targeting. That was a super questionable call. But and as of a couple hours ago, I read that the appeal to get the call reversed in terms of his sitting out the first quarter against Oklahoma was denied. Yeah, NCAA is not Michigan's biggest fan, so you kind of saw that coming. But unfortunate, but hopefully Michigan will be all right in the meantime because they have a lot of other guys producing. Hausman will still be out there. They had a lot of guys making plays. Punting, as you can tell, Hollenbeck had 4 for 170, averaged 42.5 yards. Not bad. Not great. I mean, you're a little better, but not bad at all. Dominic Zavada had a couple field goals, made him just fine. Didn't seem to have any problems with it. From 21-39, he crushed them both. He only had like 1 missed one last year, so he's reliable. A kickoff, you got those numbers there. And then, Marsh, like I said, he had that one fumble, but I don't see that being a problem. I think they'll continue using him. So overall, it was a good game. I would say from a fan's perspective, somebody who watched the game, defensively wise, there was some work to do. They're the underneath a lot of while it is New Mexico. It's not like you're playing Ohio State. So, but they did play. They had a couple guys who actually played fairly well, and who are able to get in those gaps. And I think Michigan's going to have to really clean up that and really learn how to be a little more disciplined on their coverages and all that. But overall, not a bad game. I did notice they were talking about rotating players in and out, and offensively wise, look, you can tell all like the top 5 guys are all offensive linemen, staying there all game. So these guys are getting reps in there. It's going to be really important for them to continue to get those reps. And of course, Bryce Underwood played the entire game. Super important for him. Uh, Justice Haynes is in there a lot. Mark Klein, Morgan. So they got, and Channing Goodwin is a freshman. So getting him in there the whole game, getting him like those possessions, super important. So that's really, really, really good. I believe on offense, I can't remember exactly the amount of plays, but it was a fairly decent number. So they did really well. Defensively wise, you got all these guys, and some of these guys are new. Even like TJ Metcalf, while he is not, I believe he's a transfer, so he's got a couple of years at Arkansas. But getting them in the system, getting them learning, that's super important. So all in all, it was a good game. Michigan obviously won. That's what you're always looking for. But uh, Underwood played really well, and I think that this team, while still young and still introducing some players, is going to be okay. Um, I will do a prediction later in the week for the Oklahoma-Michigan game. But as a side note, Oklahoma did win their game. I don't know who they played. I believe it was a lower tier team, unfortunately, but they blew them out like 35-3. So typical what you expect. So didn't really see anything substantial in that regard. So I have to look at that game, but I really think it's going to be a tough test for Michigan. But it's not impossible. But I think it's going to be. I think they got a lot of really, really good reps in this game. So respect to New Mexico, they showed up. They didn't just roll over. They played to the end. Some hilarious moments. I don't if you've watched the game. New Mexico was trolling Michigan. They knew they weren't going to win, so they were trolling. That was kind of funny, but hey, they showed up. So, respect to them for coming out. But Michigan was the better team, and they showed it. And Bryce Underwood showed he was really good. Had he's got to put some touch on those throws. He was throwing them hard, but hey, Michigan Steelers are catching them, so that's good. But yeah, hopefully they can continue this role they've put themselves on. They set a tone, and if that running game keep up like that, Bryce Underwood may not have to do much. A lot like JJ McCarthy with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards and Cleo Mullins. So, anyways, thanks for watching. It was great. It was good to see Michigan playing top level, and hopefully we have more good news in the future. But anyways, y'all have a good one and take care. Peace.